A quiet Texas town disappears in the space of a heartbeat. 136 lives taken. Their stories cut mid-sentence by a flood that crept like a shadow and struck like a predator. What turned a day of celebration into a night of terror? What truth lies beneath the water's surface? Stay with me, and we'll walk straight into the heart of it. It was July 4, 2025, in the hill country of central Texas, where limestone cliffs cradle winding rivers and the summer heat hums in the air like an old song. Along the Guadalupe River, families gathered beneath pecan trees, picnic blankets dotted with paper plates and soda cans beading with sweat. Children chased each other between folding chairs, sparklers sputtering gold in their hands. The town's only bridge, a narrow ribbon of asphalt, was draped with flags and bunting. From the bank, you could almost smell the promise of evening fireworks. No one knew the sky had already turned on them. At first, the rain felt like mercy. Cool droplets tapping on bare shoulders, rippling the water in lazy rings. People laughed, pulling food under tarps, never glancing upstream where trouble had already begun. High in the hills, the clouds split open. In minutes, inches of rain punched into the stubborn ground, rushing toward the river like it had been waiting for this very moment. The Guadalupe began to rise, not in inches, but in feet. 1, then 3, then 5. The current thickened, dragging branches and fence posts like toys. A man named Rafael Dorez, a father of 2, would later say the sound changed first. It was like the river found its voice, he whispered to a reporter, and it was angry. Before we go further, subscribe right now, because if you think disasters give warnings, you're wrong. If you want to risk being caught blind like they were, fine. Head to the comments and explain why you'd turn your back on a story that might one day save your life. By the time the first fireworks should have bloomed in the night sky, the river had already swallowed the picnic grounds. A wall of water surged around the bridge, slamming against the supports. People screamed for loved ones, their voices drowned by the roar. A woman clutched her baby to her chest as the current tore the shoes from her feet. A teenage boy, waist deep, tried to pull his grandmother toward the shelter of a cypress tree, but the roots gave way, sliding them both into the torrent. The river rose 26 feet in under an hour, a record no one wanted to break. At Camp Mystic, 27 campers and counselors were trapped between cabins and water. Rescue crews tried to reach them by boat, but the current spun the craft like a paper cup. Survivors remember clinging to rooftops, the night air heavy with the smell of diesel from rescue boats and the copper tang of broken tree limbs. Rafael remembers the exact moment his daughter's hand slipped away. She had been laughing only seconds earlier, yelling over the roar for him to hold tighter. He did, until he couldn't.
Across town, an elderly couple was trapped in their RV as water pressed against the windows like glass about to shatter. Neighbors pounded on the door, screaming for them to climb to the roof, but the current lifted the RV like a toy, spinning it once before it vanished downstream. When morning came, it wasn't morning. It was a graveyard. Cars lay upside down in fields. A playground slide was jammed into the branches of an oak tree 20 feet above ground. Mud painted the walls of every surviving building, marking exactly how high the water had climbed. The death toll reached 136, with 3 still missing. Their families waited days for confirmation, clinging to hope that the water had spared them. Don't pretend this couldn't be your street. Subscribe now, or if you'd rather gamble with your family's lives, go to the comments and justify why you're staying in the dark. We'll see how confident you sound when the sky opens over your town. Rescuers found one woman alive, clinging to a fence post half buried in silt. She had been there for nearly 36 hours, her skin pale and lips cracked, but her eyes burned. "I heard something," she told them, "before it came, like the ground sighed, low and long." That detail never made the official reports. Rumors spread quickly. Some whispered that an old floodgate upriver, long decommissioned, had failed in the night, sending a hidden surge into the river. Officials denied it, saying no such structure could have influenced the flood's force. But those who had lived here long enough remembered the stories: rusting machinery in the hills, concrete channels overgrown with weeds. Raphael swore he saw lights upriver before the surge, pale, industrial lights cutting through the rain. By the time rescuers arrived, the hills were empty. When investigators came, they spoke in measured tones. Unprecedented rainfall, geological conditions, flash flooding. All true. But the locals wanted more than weather reports. They wanted to know why no warning sirens sounded until after the first homes were already gone. Why emergency bridge repairs had been delayed for 2 years. Why upstream inspections were skipped. On social platforms, #HillCountryFlood trended for days, filled with photos of missing loved ones, dogs found shivering in the debris, and night vision shots of helicopters hovering over the shattered town. In the end, no one proved the rumors. The state's final report cited extraordinary meteorological conditions and closed the file. But in that town, the wound never closed. Every 4th of July since, the fireworks are silent. Families gather at the river's edge, not to celebrate, but to read the names. And every so often, when the clouds gather in the hills, someone swears they hear it. The low groan of something old, straining against the weight of the rain. If you're still listening and you haven't subscribed yet, you need to ask yourself why you'd walk away from a warning like this. Click it now, before you become the next headline. And if you won't, head to the comments and tell us why you're staying in the dark. I dare you. Stay aware, stay ready, and stay with me, because the next story might be closer than you think.